Coming up on Virginia Currents, find out how Quniana Futrell helps children connect with their incarcerated parents, and see how Vidales Nicoletti Family lives the American dream in a home of trilingual tranquility. Also, find out about the historic adventures of best-selling author Dean King when he visits Daphne's Corner. And the captivating international music of Jennifer Scott, all next on Virginia Currents. Welcome to Virginia Currents. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reed. Quniana Futrell, who goes by Author Q, is a healer, a teacher, a family advocate, and the children's champion. As a former child of two incarcerated parents, Author Q feels it is her mission to advocate on behalf of the 1 in 14 children who has a parent in prison. Through faith and forgiveness, she's been able to turn her pain into purpose. We find out how during our visit to her Portsmouth home.
Both of my parents, when I grew up, were in and out of local jails and state penitentiaries for most of my life. I had to deal with a lot of negative emotions about myself, how I view the world, how I view relationships even with others. Children that actually endure having a parent to go away deal with feeling abandoned, you feel alone, you feel like it's your fault. You don't really have stable relationships because in my sense, I was used to them going back and forth. My parents were on drugs, off and on, drank and, entertained the opposite sex very often. For me, it was heartbreaking at times because I had a lot of things that were unanswered. I never knew why. My mother never really showed me that she loved me, but she would buy me things. And so I always tell people, be present in your children's life. Don't just always buy them presents because there's a difference. By the way, I'm the only child. And so a lot of what I had to do was raise myself. I had wonderful family members who did step in to help fill in the gap. So when they weren't around, I pretty much was bounced from house to house or, couch to couch. And I'm grateful for all those who did step in to help, but it was very, very hard. But I'm grateful that it didn't stay that way. Here's the thing, I'm very clear on this. My pain is what pushed me to my purpose. And so if I can help another kid and say, I know I look good now, painted up, look really well put together. But I can tell them, hey, I was that same broken kid like you. And quite frankly, I was that same broken kid in a body for a while. And it took me some time to really tap into that for me to break free so that I could become the children's champion. See, the problem is so many people who are incarcerated, and let me be clear, 80% of women who are incarcerated are mothers. And so those 80% feel as though they can't be a parent. Women who are incarcerated, women who are free, there isn't a whole lot of difference between them besides where they reside. That's it.
All right, so now page 3, resilience. What is resilience? The resilience is the ability of matter to spring back quickly into shape after being bent, stretched, or deformed.
I go into schools and do programs so that teachers can then learn. What do you say when that kid says, hey, last night I went to see my mommy in jail? Or, hey, last night I went to see my mommy at college and everybody had on orange jumpsuits. Most of the time, there's no trainings in school systems that teach teachers how to deal with children that deal with traumatic situations. They want them to sit still, be quiet, follow the rules, and do the work. But it's hard for me to do the work after I see my mother arrested last night.
You're going to be the ones who child in the middle of circle time says, hey, last night my mommy went to jail.
I give them role plays. I take them through the steps of what it feels like to children, what it looks like for the caregivers or the family members that are taking on this now new burden per se. We don't want to call it that, but the truth of the matter is it's a lot that a person has to take on taking on your child. So beyond the walls. I teach them what they need so that they can support these children with confidence. Me talking to a 5-year-old and telling them, oh, your mother's in jail, she's in a prison, and she sleeps on a cold bed, and that's probably a little too much. But me to simply say, hey, mommy's in a place called jail or prison. She just doesn't live here. She does have a bed to sleep in, and she does get meals, and she does watch TV. I mean, that's the basics. We ain't gonna say what kind of food it is, because that's not important. But they know that she has a bed, or that she just doesn't live with us. And in my book, Our Moms, I do say that. You know, I know my mom doesn't live with me. Prison is a place where she just means that she just doesn't live with us right now. And that's good for a child at a younger age. Now, yeah, if you have an older child and it's happening to a teenager, you can let them know, hey, they are in jail. You know, you probably seen it on TV. I don't know if it's that bad for them. It could very well be. But here are some steps in what we're going to do together to help you through this. Number 1, I need you to know that it's not your fault. Number 2, I need you to know that you are loved and your mother and or father loves you and there's nothing that you did wrong. Period. Statistics, right? And all the research that I've done, clearly it tells us that children that have a parent incarcerated, right, have a greater risk of health issues and even behavior problems than children that lost a parent due to death or even divorce, because there's no support there. And there's no support there. Why? Because people don't know what to say. People don't have the resources. And it's been going on for generation to generation. The people that are incarcerated now come from a parent that was incarcerated, a grandparent, a relative that was incarcerated, that broke the law, did things they should not have. And so I call it curse break. And I know to some people that's like, ooh, but it's the real, it's what it is. And so simply what that is it's something my grandmother did that she passed on to my mother, that now I have that same trait. And most of us, we try to fight against it by being overworked and overindulged in other things. But we somewhere have to break the curse and change our stories. And so in that, with the parents who are incarcerated and those children who are out, somebody has to be the one to say, no more. Enough is enough. So I challenge them to be the curse breaker every day. Oh my gosh. So I always say, good morning, champions, good afternoon, champions, or hey, champion, how you doing? Simply because all of us are champions. We've all overcome something. But the truth of the matter is, we don't have to continue to be stuck in what we've gone through. So you are a champion. You are bigger than what you've been through. You are an overcomer. And I just want everybody to understand their true power.
Author Q provides helpful resources for families impacted by prison. Her children's book, Our Moms, is a helpful conversation starter for professionals who serve children of incarcerated parents, as well as their family members. The book helps children make sense of the devastating situation. Also, her 12-week program, Parenting Behind Bars, offers encouragement to parents as they figure out how to be present in their children's lives from their cells. For more information, visit QuinianaFutrell.com. For Fernanda Nicoletti and Rodrigo Vidales, they are living the American dream. In the 1980s, they met as college students in California after they moved from their families in Colombia and Argentina. In 2010, they left their careers and the chaos of Los Angeles to focus on their young family. They bought a house in Amelia, Virginia, which was unfinished because the original buyer bailed out during construction. With their own hands, they have built up their home and have relied on repurposed items that were headed for the landfill. They homeschool their daughters, who speak and easily transition between 3 languages: English, Spanish, and French. For her family, Fernanda posted videos of the girls' unique talent to switch between the languages and ended up getting over 90,000 views, including the attention of linguistics teachers.
Sí salió un poco.
El maíz se está muriendo de todas maneras. Se puede sacar una y plantarla.
Sometimes you're not born in the right place. I mean, you gotta find it, and that's what we did.
Here we are extremely happy.
I don't know, I love this life. We walk every morning to get the mail. There's so much peace and tranquility, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that I was gonna have chickens and that I was gonna have my mystery garden. They make fun of me because I never know what I plant until the fruit comes up. I was born in Argentina.
I was born in Bogota, Colombia. Well, my country was a mess because back then, right before I left, it was the middle of the drug war with Pablo Escobar, with killings left and right, with car bombings.
It was not a good time for Argentina. Well, there were tortures, there were kidnappings. I didn't see the violence, I didn't see anything, and I had a really happy childhood. And my grandpa, he was the administrative secretary for General Perón, which is Evita, the husband of Evita Perón. She trusted him very much. I came by myself, he came by himself, but it was the same year. It was in 1985. I was accepted at Pasadena City College.
And I actually went the first semester to Los Angeles City College. I used to play tennis all the time. I was competitive. Los Angeles City College did not have a good program. So by just chance, I decided to switch and transfer to Pasadena City College. And that's how I ended up meeting her. Then I got a job at, it was one of the biggest post-production companies in Hollywood. It was called Modern Video Film. Well, I was affiliated with Married with Children, Who's the Boss, Everybody Knows Raymond, Friends.
That's why I married him. It wasn't just his looks and cooking.
It was mostly cooking.
Cooking, yes. We had the kids when we were older, so we didn't need to be in the middle of everything anymore. And we wanted more of a quiet life. We wanted land. To me, finding the place was like finding love. It's the same thing. I mean, I'm like, this is so peaceful. And that's what we were looking for.
Hello, girls! You're a picky eater, all right.
Oh, I forgot to water the apple tree.
Back there, a very crude system of collecting rainwater. We have some barrels, 50-gallon barrels.
It's like a little water reservoir.
That's how the girls come out here every day and they water the plants and the fruit trees and the garden. I was used to green cucumbers. These are yellow. Very juicy, very tasty. I just put ashes on that tree yesterday. From hardwoods, the ashes are excellent for the trees.
I didn't want them to have to study a language. If it was something that was natural for us, why not share that with them?
Ya sé.
Si quieres ponerle
Yo le iba a
esto.
poner una de estas dos para estar.
Ça n'existe pas en France, normalement. Donc,
Comme de baguette.
la baguette, c'est une chose française. C'est un pain spécial.
We never
français.
made an effort in teaching them, we just speak it.
Since they were a baby, we would speak to them in that language.
The norm is that they speak to him in French. That's how they continue increasing their vocabulary. I will speak to them in Spanish for the most part, because English is during homeschool, and while we're doing homeschool, I don't speak any Spanish to them because I don't want to confuse them.
Do you think that's enough for six or
I don't understand. No te entiendo. ¿Qué querés?
para 7 personas?
They are not going to speak to us if we don't say it in the language.
Is it hard for you, though, to speak these 3 languages?
No, it's easy.
Sayan, ça c'est pour toi.
D'accord.
Donne-moi ton assiette. Amélie, toi, qu'est-ce que tu veux?
If they're spoken Spanish, they answer in Spanish. They would turn around and talk to him in French.
And how do the 2 of you talk to each other, Rodrigo?
We don't talk, we're married.
It's mostly Spanish, really. Spanish and English.
Which is your favorite language to talk?
That's a toughie.
I think it's Spanish.
I'm scared that I might insult one of my two parents with my choice.
Oh, go ahead. I'm used to it.
English. Don't know.
That's okay.
I don't know why.
They
You have to
really
be your own
like
person.
French.
I just like it.
Another thing that I did, just to fool them, so they didn't realize they were learning, was to get the movies, translated in another language. So the movies would entertain them, but at the same time would increase their vocabulary and would get their hearing accustomed to other accents.
Was there any like language barriers?
I wanted to get my teeth whitened, and I went on, to Rite Aid, and I looked at the box, and it was saying, "You need to make sure that you do it with lukewarm water." And I said, "Excuse me, where can I find the lukewarm water?" We moved in 2010. The house was unfinished. It had drywall, not even primer.
The staircases, both of them, I would say took us easily, because we had no experience doing it and no idea how to do it. I would say 6 months, measuring, cutting, and actually building it and putting it together.
As being part of a free cycle group, I tried to get a lot of things that people are gonna just trash and repurpose it. With the kitchen, we just found 3 kitchens that were going to be just trashed. He cut it so it fits the space, and by painting it all the same color, it looks like it's the same kitchen. Those kind of things make me happy.
Everything has a story.
My bed was very outdated, so we took it all apart, and I took the molding from the bed, and he cut it so we did crown molding on top of the hood, and with the bottom of the bed, which was with the drawers, I put them one on top of the other one. Then I found the couch on the road, and I used the cushions, and I had only one curtain. What are you gonna do with one curtain? Nothing. So then I wrapped it up with that curtain that was pink. And then we did her bedroom with an entertainment center that also was gonna be trashed. And with the remaining kitchen that we couldn't do anything with the doors, he glued them all together, and he cut out the little windows to make the windows of the castle.
You're resourceful.
Or cheap.
They are learning also how to repurpose things, because they give each other presents for Christmas that they each made for the other.
I made a cook set out of cardboard and paper.
We honestly feel like we found that we made it. We feel like this country gave us an opportunity that not everybody grabs onto. We created a good family. We are here for each other, and that we found the place.
As Fernanda mentioned in the story, her grandfather worked for Argentine President Juan Domingo Perón. His wife, Evita, entrusted him with Juan's coveted Medal of Loyalty to keep safe, knowing she would soon die from cancer and her husband would be overthrown. He kept his promise, and the medal was returned to Juan after he became president again nearly 20 years later. Another side note, the Free Cycle group Fernanda belongs to has members all over the country. To find out how you can get or offer up free stuff with no strings attached, go to freecycle.org.
There might be something. Okay, let me get the shovel so I can loosen this up.
Welcome to Daphne's Corner. Today's guest is Dean King. Dean is an award-winning author of 10 books and the co-founder of James River Writers, which promotes literary life in Central Virginia. He produced the reality documentary series on the Hatfields and McCoys on the History Channel. His national bestseller, Skeletons on the Sahara, A Story of Survival, was translated into 10 languages, made into a History Channel documentary, and optioned for film by Steven Spielberg. Called a real-life Indiana Jones, Dean goes to dangerous lengths to tell great stories of adventure with tremendous dedication to searching out the truth. Welcome, Dean. And you're not on a big adventure right now.
Well, I'm behind the computer right now.
What was your biggest adventure, the one that you're most proud of?
Oh gosh, well, I've been to Africa, China, West Virginia, and Kentucky to research books. But, I would say going to Africa for Skeletons on the Sahara right after 9/11 was really a fascinating experience. And, the way that cultures were clashing then and now, and to be researching this story where an American and an Arab on the desert forged a friendship to help each other survive. It's a true story. It was just so timely, and it was a painful time to be there, but also, a transformative time to be there.
And was that one of the most rewarding parts of your travels?
Well, I think so, because, here I am on the desert going across the Sahara with 10 Arab guides and handlers, camel wranglers. And, we started talking about 9/11. They really literally thought it was a CIA plot to discredit Islam. And I knew we couldn't talk about that, because we were hurt, we were in pain. But as we traveled together and suffered together on the camels, found humor, found our common humanity, it was an amazing moment to see how you bridge the gulf in these cultures, and how it's not done and how it can be done.
And why are you drawn to history and culture?
Well, I think we learn so much from studying history and other cultures, and that we need to be aware of the past. We need to be aware of how other cultures respond to things, so that we can be better neighbors in this world.
Yeah. And being a good neighbor in Richmond, how and when did you start the James River Writers? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, after I moved back here from New York City a while ago, and gosh, James River Writers, I think we started up about 15 years ago now. We're having our 14th conference this fall. And there were a lot of writers in town. And I came from New York City, and we wanted to create an atmosphere where writers could be writers in Richmond and stay here and nurture each other, and not have to move to LA or New York to do that. And I think Richmond in the past 20 years has come together in all the arts forms, I think, to create a very great creative atmosphere.
And lots of different ways that the art is being expressed. Tell us about your documentary series.
Well, so when I go to write a book and do this research, and I'm in deep, I'm working on a book for 3 or 4 years. I did a reality documentary series for the History Channel, and it was based on the Hatfields and McCoys that I met while writing The Feud. So I'm going to meet the family members. I'm going to get to know them, and so when you spend that much time doing that kind of research, I like to capture it in many different ways. I really wanted to do a straight-up documentary, but History Channel wanted a reality documentary, so we did a 16-part series.
Wow! So what is your next adventure?
Currently working on a book about the environmental pioneer John Muir, and the father of our national parks system. And so looking forward to going out to Yosemite to spend some time out there soon. I think he's a great hero for today. Our environment's under siege, but he was a real purist in the way he wanted to protect it. And really an exciting guy, what he was doing, living out in the wild for long periods of time. He'd take some coffee and a couple loaves of bread and go out and spend 10 days in the wilderness.
Wonderful. And to see more on Dean King's work, be sure to check out his website, deanhking.com. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Our spotlight on Virginia music shines on internationally recognized vocalist and pianist Jennifer Scott. With a warm voice and captivating arrangements, Jennifer delivers her music in French, Italian, Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and English languages. Described as a free spirit with a strict discipline to the arts, she holds acclaim across both hemispheres. Soon to be released is her latest album of original music with her World Fusion Ensemble. Here is a clip of her performance of the French song J'oublie, which is about loss and forgetting. And thanks for watching Virginia Currents. Join us next time for more inspiring stories. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reid.